I want to know, how do you go from normal human being functioning in society to reviewing the pussy of the round table on YouTube? What's the origin story of that? How do you get into that? Because I know that you obviously voice acting online because we're in like the same community. But how did it like go from? How did you get into voice acting and then go into that kind of side of YouTube?
Are you asking how?
Everything.
The beginning of my life.
We gotta introduce you to our guests.
Yeah.
All right. I guess, so I started out on YouTube when YouTube just began. I was about 12, 13, and I was a big anime nerd. I was that girl, just like, call me Yumiko Kawagawa. In high school. And I was like, what's the best way to be the most closest to an anime girl that you can? And I was just like, maybe being her voice. So I tried doing voice acting, and then I grew up and I stopped doing fan dubs and a bridge series.
Because you were pretty big in the abridging scene back in the day, weren't you?
Yeah.
I remember because back when abridging was like at its prime, you had like Team 4-Star, and then you had a lot of other people were trying to emulate what Team 4-Star were doing.
Yeah.
And it got to the point where people started realizing, hey, if we use female voice actresses, we could make our abridged series look legit, because most abridged series were just
all
like
dudes.
Yeah, all dudes. And like it would just be like the dudes playing the girl characters doing their like best falsetto or whatever it's called. So if you had a female voice actor, that meant your abridged series was like legit.
But they have a budget.
The problem is that there weren't many female voice actresses in the community. So I remember like how I discovered Sydney was she was like one of the 5 female voice actresses who was just like in everything.
Right.
So that's how I discovered you. Like, how was it back in the day for you being like voicing in so many different abridged series and so many different parodies?
Because you were like first generation online voice acting.
Yeah, I started when I was like 14.
Oh my God.
I mean, back then, obviously, I was kind of like around when the boom of it kind of began. Obviously, when people were just like, shit, girls want a voice in our fucking terrible parodies. And so I get a lot of offers every day because there's not many girls who have like microphones.
Yeah.
Like, look at
Oh,
me,
I
I'm
guess
hot
me and my Blue Yeti could voice in your project if we have to.
So it was like, I felt like hot shit.
Like female voice actors were a wanted commodity.
Yeah,
You were like,
it's just like, whoa. So it was pretty fun. I felt like a celebrity. Like, what? You don't know who I am? I'm in every abridged series.
You go to like Walmart, you're like, oh God, they're looking at me. Oh, geez,
Oh God, they're staring at me because they probably know who I am. I'm just too nervous to come up and ask.
Oh my God.
I forgot my fame sunglass.
Oh God, they know I was in that 4th Pokemon bridge. Oh Jesus.
So I got to ask, like, were there a lot of projects that you were in that you're maybe not so proud of now, like looking back at?
I think you can
like,
say
without naming, without naming.
That's how you know someone's a good voice actor. If they're like, yeah, man, I love everything I've been in. I'm like, oh, you're shit. That means you don't recognize how bad some of the shit was.
Yeah, no, definitely there are probably I'd say about like a good like 70%.
70% of
Sounds like a voice actor. Yeah.
Maybe I'd say even close to 90 because very rarely, and this is gonna sound terrible, but like when I was in the parodies, I only laughed. I'd say very like 1 or 2, 3. None of them were funny. I'm sorry.
Oh my God. Every abridger whose voice with Sydney is just like, maybe I'm the 10%.
Like
I'm the 10%. I could be the 10%.
I'm funny, right?
Were you ever like cast in if you were one of the 5 female, did you ever get like cast in a project and then you're like, cool, this is good. And then you hear the other voice actors and you're like, how do I get out of this? How do I back the fuck out?
Of course, because like back then it's just like they'd be like, oh, you're a girl, even though you're using your like laptop mic.
Yeah.
It's like, I've never acted before, but it's just like, of course. But sometimes like I was like, I'm unfortunately one of those people that's like, once I kind of offer something, it's really hard for me to say like, I'm just not gonna do it. It's really hard to say no. So most of the time
I'm like, I'm going to do the lines, but I'm not going to do it with enthusiasm.
I feel like that's just the best way to practice. From what I've heard, it's I mean, I'd say with a lot of things, you just got to do it, even if you you're going to suck for the longest time, and then you eventually learn how to do it.
Just audition. Just never stop auditioning, and then you'll get better.
That was like definitely how it was back then. It's like, even if it was all shit, it's practice.
Yeah.
But
yeah, so how did you So when did you ever stop voice acting, or is it something you just kind of lost interest in?
It kind of plays into how we met, isn't it? Like, because we met from his abridged series, Ava Abridged, in case you guys couldn't guess.
Oh my god. Here we go.
Married. But once we started dating, I actually moved. Like after we started, like I moved to England and I started going to school in England. And I think from that point, I stopped voice acting for a good few years. But then I came back because I was just like, you said like you think I should try and do YouTube, and I'm like, I don't know, voice acting's not in the same community, and you're like, maybe don't do voice acting, and I'm like, what? And then I started doing manga videos because I really like manga,
Right.
and I started noticing like people tended to prefer when I talked about some of the looter titles. Like it started off with like J.K. Haru is a sex worker, and to like. Naval sex.
It's a bit of a jump.
Okay.
It's a bit of a jump.
Of course.
No, I think the big transition was when you did your video on Euphoria.
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like Gaunt has all the answers to these questions. He's like, no, Sydney, that's not how it happened. I was there.
He was though. He was like the
Gaunt's
one.
like human fact checker on Sydney.
Yeah. He was the one who like actually I definitely wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Garnt. He like helped pave the way, kind of told me what these like, hey, this is like might be a good thing, and I'm like, I don't know. And anytime I needed advice, he was there.
Yeah, because I remember when I saw some of your thumbnails, I'm like, that's not the level of clickbait from someone who's been doing this for 4 months. And I was like, Gaunt, did you make the thumbnails? Like, yeah, I did. And I'm like, I knew it was too good clickbait.